people across Metro Detroit are stuck hunkering down to stay safe, and the emotional impact is real. The threat of COVID-19 might be weighing down your well-being, and now we're in the grips of dangerously cold temperatures. We're joined now by behavioral health expert Salvatore Russo of Ascension. Thank you so much for joining us live this morning to help us understand and navigate some of these difficult feelings we're all coping with.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Well, let's start with people who are spending most of their time at home. They're already inside, whether you're working from home or perhaps educating your kids at home. And now we have this bitter cold that's sort of reinforcing that inside, perhaps feeling of isolation and being trapped. What kind of mental impact can that have?
Sure, I mean, we've been taking one hit after another. You know, in April, we saw a lot of people out and happy to be walking and doing activities outside, going to the park. But now we're kind of forced to stay inside, which can turn some simple stress or sadness into depression or an anxiety disorder.
And we have that, we have the cold that's keeping you inside, and also we've had a lot of clouds around. You get that sort of Perma cloud that we get here in January and February, and that too can have a real impact on people's emotional well-being.
For sure. You could get, and it's funny you mentioned Perma, as it stands for an acronym that helps people for well-being, for having a positive well-being. So it's interesting you mentioned Perma.
Well, what is that acronym? Because we certainly want some ideas to help people feel better and cope with these challenges.
Sure. So thank you. So Marty Seligman was his founder of positive psychology. And Perma was an acronym that he used to help people see what a fully self-actualized well-being might be. It stood for positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement. Now, during this time, obviously, we can't have tons of healthy relationships as we're stuck inside. So you have to take parts of that model that might work for you. And that might be just simply a sense of achievement throughout your day. And that might be simply just setting a routine, setting a schedule, and getting it done. So at 12 o'clock, I'm going to get my dishes done. At 1 o'clock, I'm making sure my child is on his school lunch. So creating a routine and then achieving that routine can help people get a sense of purpose and control back in their life.
That is some great advice. Also, let's talk about some vulnerable communities, people who might be staying inside, whether it's seniors because they feel that they're more at risk of COVID-19. Talk to us a little bit about how we can help them and some of the isolation they may be feeling and whether it might actually be greater than what many of the rest of us are feeling.
Sure, and that word vulnerable is so powerful. You know, it starts off with kind of just recognizing that we are vulnerable. And it's kind of a powerful moment in our world right now, as it's a global pandemic, that uniquely we are all facing these feelings throughout the world, no matter race or color. A lot of people throughout the world are feeling uniquely vulnerable and depressed in some manner. So I think it starts with feeling vulnerable and then reaching out to anyone. It could be a clergy member, it could be your priest, it could be a cousin.
No, M.dot cameras.
It could be anyone, yeah.
Yeah, we're here. Thank you so much, Salvatore, for your advice. This is something that we are all coping with. There may be different degrees based on how vulnerable someone is, but this is a challenge that we are all struggling with this time of year. Salvatore Russo with Ascension, thank you so much for your time and insight this morning.
Thank you for having me.